Good morning everyone and welcome to Safari Live. My name's Hayden Turner and I cannot tell you how excited I am to be back here on Djuma Private Game Reserve here in the Sabi Sands in South Africa. I've got excitement oozing out of every pore. For people that haven't met me before, I was back here right at the start in November last year and a couple of times throughout up until now, but I've joined this great team with Peter last night and Graham, and yeah, it is absolutely sensational to be back. I've got Brian here with me this morning, and being back in the saddle with Brian is it's all just very nostalgic for me, but at the same time incredibly exciting. This morning we've got Tara directing with Nikki, and we've got Kirsty and Jess and Alex in final control. The rest of the team, everyone's just been absolutely incredible. It was an amazing thing last night to stand around and watch this cohesive team around this fire. And also South Africa won the rugby last night, which was pretty cool too. But I have to say, it's an honour to be here and a privilege. And for those of you who haven't met me before, obviously my accent's not from here. I feel like I was born in the wrong country. My heart lies on this continent, and there's no doubt about it. I love Australia. I was born there. I'll tell you a little bit about my story on the way through. I won't bore you with that too much now, but it's just a beautiful thing to be back here. This morning, 26 degrees, 79 Fahrenheit. It's just absolutely beautiful. Brian, how lovely, mate. It's peace, it's the tranquility, it's everything. And for me to be back here on this incredible this project, folks, I just have to share with you, and I know many of you know this, and some of you, if it's your first safari this morning with us, welcome. This is an incredibly unique experience to be able to interact with us live. We've got an earpiece in here. We can get your questions. You can tweet us at hashtag Safari Live, or you can email us questions@WildEarthTV, and it's just a great way to interact with us, so we can answer your questions and talk to you. This is the biggest safari vehicle in the world, and as I said, a great honour to be involved. And thank you, Safari on Twitter, for welcoming us back this morning. It's a great thing to feel that from everyone out there. So, just as I drove up on the quarantine here, which is a favourite area of mine, we've seen many a thing up here. There's a tree over here I'm going to talk to you a little bit about later on, but I've just spotted out of the corner of my eye one of my favourite creatures. So, Brian, I think we're going to go over and have a look at one of my favourite creatures. Oh, this is just so fantastic. Everyone that's been with Safari Live for such a long time, thank you. We wouldn't be here without you. That was the noise that Scotty told me about. And the team, Scott and Brent and Jamie and Steph and everyone involved. There's this incredible, magical team happening, and what an honour. We've just got some wonderful, wonderful creatures up here. So I was a zookeeper in Australia many moons ago, and all I ever did from when I was a very, very young age was watch documentaries as a child. And many of you, particularly in the United States, that are watching, and I know many of you are, will remember a great television program which probably got me into wildlife, which was called Wild Kingdom. And there was a guy on there called Marlin Perkins, and I wanted to be Marlin Perkins, safari suit and all. That's all I wanted to do. And that was sort of unlocked or flicked the switch for me, that show. And it was an incredible experience to watch that and just see Africa. And I became a zookeeper, and I was a zookeeper looking after African mammals for about 10 years in Sydney's Taronga Zoo. And then I'll tell you a few of the steps as they unfolded after that, but I was very, very fortunate to have a chance meeting with some executives from National Geographic, and the rest is history. But I'll tell you those little stories along the way. I'm just a very, very lucky boy to be here. And right up here, folks, is an animal that I cared for many years. I'm just going to try and find a little access road to through there. Brian's got a little elevator position. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Right next to the road. We'll just go up nice and slowly. The great thing about, I always call Brian and VM and Andrew and Jandre who is another amazing guy. The eyes in the sky, because they're a little bit more elevated than us down here. But look at this. Good morning, my friend. That is a lovely, lovely way to start the day. Beautiful. One of my favourite creatures on the planet, folks. And I'm sure many of you watching the same. Browsing their way across this little vegetation line here. This morning and over the drives of the coming days, we've got some very exciting things going on. Lots of little surprises along the way, but you're going to have to help me. You're going to have to help me remember the roads, particularly also some of the creatures and some of the cats when I meet them. You've been watching Safari Live for a long time, and I really rely on your knowledge out there, so I really appreciate it if you can help me with IDing cats and individuals. It's so helpful to have you on board. I'm just going to move up a little bit. They're browsing very, very calmly, and this is one of the things about watching wildlife. It's not how close we can get, it's how much we can sort of go unnoticed in a way. Of course they know we're here, but the thing is, if we can go up there and just make sure that we don't change their behaviour, just creep our way up there and gently, gently approach. Hello, my girl. She's just behind this vegetation here, but I don't want to go any bull over here just coming across. I'll tell you when. Sorry, Brian, he's probably going to come over and have a little sniff of this female here. You are beautiful, my boy. Isn't he a stunning looking creature? He's probably going to go down and just smell the tail end there. And what he's doing there is just checking to see if she's in season. Just getting a little marker from her. He may, I don't know if he's going to pull his top lip back, but if she was urinating he might. But at the moment he's just checking out, hanging out, trailing these females. Loose family groups. Very, very sort of unknown structure in giraffes. A lot of people have got their theories, but as I said, there's not a lot of known. There's not a lot of long studies done on giraffe. Now, it's an interesting thing on the IUCN red elephants. This is really, really cool. These guys are coming so close. Look at this. Hello there. Right, that's about 15-20 feet in front of me, folks, in front of the vehicle. And that male, beautiful, beautiful. Oh boy, I've got goosebumps, guys. I really do. That male is trailing her. He knows that she's about to come into estrus. He has got I'm just going to move up a little bit, folks. Just wait for this female to go past as well, because I don't want to cut her off and make her feel vulnerable. So I'll just let her pass across, but we might... Brian, is there a little road that goes down there, mate? I think there is, isn't there? I'm just going to reverse, folks, and see if we can go and just hang out with these guys a little bit more, if that's okay. Very, very relaxed. And he certainly isn't concerned about us. He's only got one thing on his mind. So yeah, just going back to that, the studies of about giraffe, very, very limited amount of information compared to elephant or a lot of the cats. Another two over there. 3, 4, 5 we've got here this morning. And I was just talking about the IUCN Red List. I mean, elephants are right up there at the top of the list, and giraffe are like a ways down. And I think, just from memory, I haven't looked at it like just before I came, but the last time I looked at it, it said least concern. Now, least concern makes people think that giraffe populations around Africa are nothing to worry about. Well, I've got to tell you the contrary. They are to be worried about, and I don't want to be doom and gloom, that's for sure, when we're sitting in front of these magnificent animals, but it's just a really good note to have in the back of your mind that giraffe populations are nowhere near what people think they are, and it's really, really good just to learn a little bit about it. There's a great organisation called the Giraffe Conservation Foundation, GCF. You can have a look it up online. And the leading giraffe conservation organisation on the planet, and they will give you loads and loads of information about the animals' density across Africa. This is a really great sighting, just to be this close. They're chowing down, doing exactly what they've been designed to do. So if we want to go back in time a little bit, about 30 to 50 million years ago, there was the forefather of the two giraffeids that are left on the planet, which are the okapi in Central Africa, the relative of the giraffe, or the cousin of the giraffe. There was a creature called the I think it's Heloditherium it was called, and whatever that word means, it's just to know the name of it, really. But it was the forefather. It was about a 3 metre, about 10 feet ancestor of the giraffe, antelope-like creature that used to be right across Europe and Asia. And I think there's about 7 different sort of relatives of that over those millions of years up to today. And we're left with the okapi and the giraffe, the only 2 mammals that are born with horns. And many of these facts you probably already know, and it's just great to sort of see the unique creatures that we'll know a little bit about this unique animal, the only mammal born with horns. Skin-covered horns flatten inwards to their skull when they're born and stand up and fuse to their skull. They're floating, actually, and I had the great privilege of hand-rearing a giraffe when I was a zookeeper. And what an experience that was. Okay, we might just move on and see what else. That's a lovely, lovely shot, Brian, just there, the reaching out that full length. Of their neck. Just beautiful. Well, I think these guys are probably going to be around for a bit. We might move on. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's another few just through here, and we'll come back and have a little look at them. They're just moving off into the vegetation now. Lovely light, Brian, just there on those guys. Look at that size of that bull. He's a little ways off, but he's a bull in perfect condition there. He's still got a lot of skin or hair on his horns there. And normally the old bulls, as they get older, you can see that they lose the hair on their horns dramatically. Okay, folks, well, I think what we'll do is we'll just tootle along here. I've got to get to know the roads again a little bit as well. So I need your help on that. If I get stuck, I can't quite remember where I am. I need your help. It's so good to be back here. Thank you very, very much for all the support, everyone on Facebook and Twitter, and all the messages that we've got welcoming us back into this incredible team of people. A great privilege. But what I think we should do is go over and have a bit of a talk to Mr. Pretorius. Peter Pretorius will be coming to you very, very shortly. We're going to drive on.
Well, good morning everyone, and as Hayden said earlier, very warm welcome here to Sabi Sands and to the bush in Africa, and also welcome in the Jigga for the game drive. That's the name of this Land Rover I'm in. And firstly, I just want to say it's great to be here. We're working through a few of the comms issues and things like that. More just me getting used to pressing the right buttons and listening to the right ear. But as always, it's just a massive pleasure and a massive privilege to be here. So thank you for making it possible for all of us and for myself to be here. Looking forward to a beautiful day. As you can see, the sun is rising fast. We've actually been sitting here with VM on camera. VM, always nice to be on the vehicle with you. And of course, all the ladies back in control. Alex as well, Tara, Nikki, everyone. So fantastic to be reunited with the team again. I think I should just take a few seconds and sort of settle into this. We arrived sort of at sunset last night with Graham as well. Hayden, of course, fantastic to be on drive with him again. And just catching up with the crew and catching up with everything going on here. Of course, it's quite dry, so we should have fantastic game viewing over the next few days and weeks. And I'm just excited to be here. For all of you that's been with us maybe for years and many hours of game drives, always nice to have friends in the vehicle. For all of you that's maybe new, maybe it's one of your first game drives, welcome. It's going to be a blast. This is as live as it gets. You can't get it any more alive and wild than this. So looking forward to seeing what we're going to find. Speaking of which, Sammy and Tommy, and I'm sure a few other people as well, picked up last night around 4 o'clock our time, African time. It's actually an interesting statement, African time. I mean, there's a whole thing about, you know, who owns the watch and who has the time. But Central African time, 4 o'clock this morning, they heard a leopard calling somewhere in this area, or sawing, that sound that leopards make. It sounds a bit like this. Like that, just more like a leopard. So we're hoping to find leopard. I believe Steph and Scott and Brent and everyone's been telling us that Karula has been around a bit. So I'm really, as always, crossing my fingers, hoping to see Karula. It's my favorite leopard. Again, if you may be new to this experience, this is a game drive, as any game drive would be on safari. You can find anything. We can drive for the next 3 hours and see nothing. Well, that's not really true. You never see nothing. I've done thousands and thousands of hours of game drives and I've never seen nothing. So you always find something, but you could find a leopard right now. We could be sitting here and Karula could pop out there, or my leopard could come past, or lions or anything. So we're going to look around, but I would absolutely love to find Karula. And as I mentioned, if it's new for you, Karula is the queen of Djuma. She's been called many a time. She's the female leopard that traditionally always had cubs in this area, and there's speculation and hope and belief that there might be a small cub in the area somewhere. So that's something to look forward to. Otherwise, I'm going to stop talking a little bit. Let's drive around, let's look around, let's see what we can find. Here the game drive's just getting active there as well. Texan, head ranger of Djuma, old friend as well. Those other game drives are also out. So I'm just listening there. That's to the north. The other game drives, just like us, they're driving around, looking Luckily I learned to speak English recently, so I should be able to work through this with you. They'll be driving around as well, just as we are, and they'll be looking for everything and anything. So there's other eyes and ears out there as well. Hayden, myself, of course Scott and Brent, Steph, all the guys with great trackers, great experience, they're looking around. And then the other game drives from the other lodges, Voitela, Gallagher and so on. Everyone looking around, working with experienced trackers, and the more eyes, the more ears, the more our chances are of finding game. So that's the name of the game on safari. Guys, also just a general hello and a shout out to everyone that's been doing the same. I believe there's many people saying hello and welcome back and all of that. Thank you so much. Always a great feeling to feel welcome, and I want to extend that same sentiment to the whole crew at the Wild Earth camp here at Djuma. It was wonderful coming back last night. There's an amazing vibe in camp. Everyone's excited. There's a real bond that you can feel between people, and to be welcomed right back into that circle is a real pleasure as well. So thank you very much to the Wild Earth crew. And I believe we've got a few questions. Remember, if you have questions, you can send them in to us. Hashtag Safari Live. Remember correctly, hashtag Safari Live. Or you can email it to questions@wildearth.tv. And we're going to look at one or two of those questions now as we look around. Oh, this is a familiar spot, if not always as dry as it is now. This is Boyatella Dam or Gari Dam, and it's really down to the last sort of, it's not even a puddle of mud now, it's just a little damp spot of mud. And I've seen this waterhole in so many different guises over the years. Lynn, thank you very much, and many other people as well. I believe Twitter's live and chatting. Lynn, just remembering the very first game drive, I was talking to someone last night saying the first few weeks and months we drove around, sort of pretty much around quarantine areas, so how far we've come since then, and so many of you have really been part of that ride from the beginning. So yeah, back in 2007. But this waterhole now at the end of the dry season, and I believe we've had a bit of rain. It's been hot enough, they're predicting 35-40 degrees Celsius today, which is way over 100 centigrade Fahrenheit. So it's going to get hot today, and it might also mean that we might get some rain in the next few days. Oh, look at that! Sorry, it's not as exciting. Sorry, I've come out of the desert for the last few months, so I just suddenly saw the movement in the mud there, and those are the last of the catfish wiggling their way into the mud. Amazing, these catfish, they sort of wiggle and wangle their way into the mud underneath the dry crust where it's still sort of moist and cool, and they can, I call it hibernate for lack of a better word, but they can sort of go into a comatose state almost, where they can just chill there for up to 2 or 3 years even, until the rain comes again. Hopefully they won't have to wait that long, but they can wait. Hello James, all the way from Kansas City, Missouri. So I'm just really looking around carefully. If we're going to find, well, anything really, but especially the cats, and leopard is what we're looking for now, since you guys heard it calling last night around 4 o'clock. This is the time to do so. Early morning, it's still nice and cool, the sun's low, there's still shadows everywhere to be sort of camouflaged in, and we just have to make sure we don't miss them. Luckily, VM, as I said on camera, he's got some of the best eyes in the business. VM is actually a tracker and spotter who cameras as well. VM, you're going to find us a leopard this morning. But James, you're just asking Namibia, where I'm from, whether it is experiencing a drought in early summer as well. Well, firstly, James, I presume you know where Namibia is, but for those of you that don't, Namibia is the next country to the north of South Africa on the west coast. It used to be called Southwest Africa, so on the southern or bottom left part of Africa. And it is a desert country. The Namib Desert, after which the country is named, is the oldest desert in the world. I live in that desert at the moment. There's some hyena tracks. So where I live in that sort of let's call it the south and western parts of Namibia, is desert anyway. It's got some of the lowest rainfall numbers in the world, meaning it rains once every few years, a few drops. So there it's always dry. But the rest of the country, Namibia, is actually experiencing a drought as well, James. It's hot already. The northern part up towards Etosha National Park was 38, 39 degrees when I left when was the day before yesterday. So yeah, similar conditions to here. I think just we're sometimes more geared for it, and I mean we, the people, but also the wildlife of the country, because it is more drought prone. It is, even the rest of the country is semi-desert, except the very northern parts, up towards the Okavango Delta, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Big Falls, that side of Namibia, it's obviously higher rainfall, but hot and dry there as well. We're also listening. Always good in the bush to listen. Looking is important, smelling is important, listening is very important. It can tell you things that you can't see. So while we were waiting, while Hayden was doing the opening, and I'll talk more about Hayden just now, we had a good catch up on the way from Johannesburg yesterday on the plane and traveling together, but I know he's very, very happy to be back here. But while he was saying hello to you and getting started, we were just sitting there waiting, looking at the sunrise, but listening, just hearing if there's maybe alarm calls, oxpeckers or mongoose or franklins. Didn't hear anything, so at least the rest of the bush telegraph or the bush newspaper wasn't telling us about something moving around, but it doesn't mean that something isn't moving around. So we're going to keep looking. We'll talk through a few more questions again and see what happens. The United States. Tell some of that, but just been busy with it. Living life, and I think one of the things I really enjoy the last years of having kids, they just open up your eyes to so much more around you again. Can't wait to bring them here. Sydney loves animals, so yeah, that's been what we've been up to, and won't lie to you, sort of keeping up to date with what's going on in terms of Djuma side. Always looking forward to getting back here, so very happy to be back in the bush. No leopard tracks yet, but we will keep looking. Couple more hyena tracks here. Hello Ellen. Like so many of you, Ellen's been with us for a long time, so it really is a great joy in getting in the vehicle, knowing that there's so many old friends on the vehicle with us. It's been doing many game drives. So Ellen, as always, nice to have you in the vehicle. So I'm going to keep looking for reverse that side of the gearbox. I've been driving a different kind of Land Rover the last while. Ellen, yeah, I know many again would share that same sentiment. Ellen's just saying Gorilla's been back. She's a bit more elusive than always, but yes, I surely do hope that we're going to find her and see her in the course of the next few days. Any leopard is a good leopard, but Gorilla obviously a very special place for many of us. So yes, let's hope and see. Might also get a bit of rain while we're here in the next week or so. It stays this hot. It should be awesome because you get that sort of burst of life after the rain. Oh, let's see if this. Birds are always tricky because they fly. But let's see if this one sticks around. They're quite shy birds, which is there it goes. So we'll try it, Liam. A bit far, but this is really one of my favorite birds anywhere, and one of those birds that always makes me nostalgic or makes me think of the Lowveld. It's called the emerald spotted dove. A little bit far away now, but if you look on the wings, sort of a little bit below halfway down from the shoulder, it's got two beautiful spots there when the light catches it. Listen. And that's the call that always just screams bushveld to me. Screams Lowveld, Sabi Sands, Kruger National Park, this part of the world. And this time of the day is such a beautiful part in the bush. Everything's waking up from the night. The nocturnal animals are still settling down for the day, so you have this overlap or crepuscular time when almost everything can and possibly are active. Just all the sounds and the smells and everything is just a little bit heightened. Your own senses pick up a bit as well, because you can feel that this is the equivalent of 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the big city. You know, everything's gearing up or gearing down. Absolutely love the morning drive. So very happy to be out in the morning. Always love the morning drives. Just an open area in front of. We've always, and I'm going to go off on a small tangent now, but this is a warthog in front of Galago Camp, and we've always said Galago Camp. And Galago refers to the bush baby. And the other day I was listening to Life Story, which is this new BBC series, which is incredible, all their Planet Earth stuff basically, and amazing stories, and narrated by possibly the best wildlife narrator of all time, Sir David Attenborough. And he was saying Galago. They were talking about Galago, so one was being eaten by something. And I'm sure he wouldn't pronounce that wrong. I just thought, it's so beautiful, Galago. So I might have to start talking about Galago Camp. And but that open area is just a warthog in front of the camp. We will see wildlife there over the next few days. And yeah. Well, I must say, great to be back in the seat. Great to sort of break the ice. Oh, awesome. And as I was saying, just to be back in the seat is great. To have the ice broken, you know, always the first drive, you just have to get back into the swing of things, but it makes it so much easier and makes it so much more fun just to get back into it, because I know that we've got great friends on the vehicle. So a big thank you again for all of you that make us feel so welcome here, and for all of you that make us enable us to do this. And we're going to find some game. As I said, we heard leopard earlier this morning. We've got Scott and the guys out looking for them, and they found some signs, so enjoy what they've got to show you, and let's see what the morning brings. Nice to have you here.
Well, good morning everyone, and welcome to the Bushwalk. We've got some very, very exciting news, and we're not going to keep you too long, so take a closer look here. If you look in this area where I'm circling here, you will see the back pad and the 1, 2, 3, 4 toes of a big male leopard. Then right over here, not far away at all, there's a much smaller track. Again, the back lobe, the 1, 2, 3, 4 toes of a female. And these two leopards were walking together side by side. Well, actually, the female at this stage was in front of the male. I can see that because some of his tracks are on top of hers, heading down this road towards Buffels Hook Dam. So Brent and the tracking team have looped around, and we're going to continue following these tracks and hopefully find this pair of leopard. There's a strong chance they could be mating, which will be great for us because we'll be able to hear them copulating about every 15 to 20 minutes. It's quite a loud affair, and hopefully that will also help us lead them closer to the animals. For those of you who haven't met me, my name's Scott, but it's so exciting that we're going to continue down this road in search of these animals, and we're going to send you back onto the vehicle so we can focus, creeping ahead, being as stealthy as we can on the trail of these leopards. We'll see you a little bit later.
Well, one of my favourite spots we've just come down off, a place called Impala Plains, and it's always a great favourite spot of Brian and mine. We used to sit there in the afternoons and watch the sunset, and it was fantastic. And just came around the corner here, and 2 young male elephants just browsing away in this beautiful morning light. It's a really, really great thing. This light is just so perfect, and these boys were just... I'm just going to reposition the vehicle for Brian a little bit here. Sorry, my friends, it's okay. Just young boys here. I don't know, they might be part of a bigger group. I can't really see, the vegetation's a bit thick through there, but Brian was telling me they had a nice rain here in early September, but nothing since. But it's put a really beautiful big green flush. Hello, my boy. It's okay, buddy. A little bit unconfident, these boys at this age. Just moving through there. It's okay, buddy. Easy, boy. I'll just swap myself around and give Brian a better angle here. It's a bit hard to shoot back. There's that sound. Scotty told me about that. Yeah, they've moved off. Those boys, just when they're by themselves, two of them, they've been pushed out of the breeding herd, and it looks like anyway, but then again, I don't know. They could be trailing a breeding herd as well. But eventually those males will be pushed out of that herd and start to either become part of a bachelor group, more than likely. We'll just keep our eyes open. There might be a few more up here. Oh, what a pleasure to be back, folks. It's an incredible place, this planet. When you think, 36 hours ago I was in London. I reside in the UK. It's a long story there too, which I'll share with you over the coming week. And I have a beautiful son and a beautiful wife there. And it's a little bit different to here, that's for sure, but still a great place nonetheless. And how lucky we are to be able to come down and share this beautiful part of Africa. Now, there was word. It's really important. The guys, particularly the guys on our team, but all the guides on Sabi Sands are just incredible. It's a really lovely thing to be able to just glean information from these incredible guides, and I learn something constantly. And it's just a really lovely thing to hear their feet on the ground and know what they know. And last night I think Steph was telling us that they saw wild dog tracks up here. And folks, I have to share some of my favourites with you. Wild dog are definitely one of those creatures, one of those animals that I have a very, very strong love of. And it's one of those creatures as well that, tracking wise, they're on the move so much. You normally drive onto them or just startled, or they startle you by coming around a corner, walking down a road. And I just wanted to just trickle around here, tootle around, get to know the roads again, see what we can find. But elephant, giraffe, beautiful start. And there's much more to come. Just got a message through from George Ann in Illinois. George Ann, thank you so much. Great to have you on board. And you're asking about my boy, which is always one of those things that's very, very close to my heart, as you can imagine. My son Jack, George Ann, is doing very, very well. He's just turned 9, and he's on his game. He's a fantastic little chap. He's coming out here with me in December. And he's going to have this experience, so I'm very, very excited about that. The last time he was on safari, he was 3, and there's a really, really funny little video clip I put on my Facebook page. If you want to go and have a look, of him seeing his first couple of animals in a waterhole in Etosha, and I ask him, what can you see, mate? What can you see? And he says, and a bee flies in the car and flies onto the window, and he says, "I can see a bee right here," and he's so excited he can hardly speak. So it's a quite little clip if you want to have a go and have a look at that. But he's grown a lot since then. From 6 years it's been since he's been in Africa proper. So I'm really looking forward to getting him down here at the end of Big Cat Week and having a little safari with my wife and my son. But thank you very much, Georgianne, and great to have you on board. Just scanning around. So we've got a couple of questions about, there's a funny little story here, folks, that I'd like to just share with you. I'll just stop for a second. And Brian knows this story very well. Many of you have probably know it as well. I'm just going to ask, there's a couple of people from Illinois, and I missed who the names were, but I'll get them just now. There's a few people asking about this, and this is a very, very interesting little piece of luck. So Linda and Peggy from Illinois, I do apologise, the vehicle, I couldn't hear your question, but this little lucky quill here is something that Brian and I and VM and Pete found many moons back, and about a year ago nearly to this day, Brian, hey? Yeah. And I've carried it and carried it and carried it, and it's just a little bit of fun. But one of the things is, the Big Cat Week that we had last year, this quill started to gain status from the luck that we had with, I remember it vividly, Djuma walking right into shot of our first broadcast on Big Cat Week and sat in the tree behind us as we went to the fireside chat. So ever since, this lucky quill has travelled with me, and I bring it every time. Mr. Pretorius and VM. Fantastic. So that's the lucky quill story, and we still carry it. Hello, my friend.
Dr. Livingston, I presume.
How are you? Liam, how are you? Great. Great. We just
found another lucky quill.
Well, no, I've brought it with me.
Same one.
Same one.
Very good.
So I just telling give it a rub. Give it a rub, big fella.
Here we go.
So you never know what luck that'll bring us, folks, but how wonderful it is to be back, mate, hey?
Oh, it's amazing, huh? We just took a few minutes while you were opening, sitting in front there, literally watching the sunrise and the birds calling, and yeah, I mean, as everyone knows, it's awesome to be back. So.
Oh, it's just beautiful, mate. Just beautiful. And we saw giraffe. We've got some young ellies just down here.
Okay, cool.
You were on some tracks of leopard.
Scott and them had some leopard track, so I've just sort of been up that side a bit and looking around and seeing what pops up. Just enjoying the morning, enjoying the last bit of cool. I can feel it.
You certainly.
By the second getting warmer. So.
Yeah. So when we started, it was 29 and I think 78, Brian, or something like that. 29 degrees Celsius, about 78 Fahrenheit, and you can feel that climbing right now.
Yeah, it's going to get nice.
26.79. That's right. Sorry. It's the temperature rises, and the guys are warning us. It's supposed to be, what was it, Brian? 44 degrees Celsius today.
Lovely.
104 Fahrenheit.
104 Fahrenheit, folks. Yeah, we're going to be feeling that, mate. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I see Brian's still got his jacket on. That's a good sign that it's still cool at the moment. Awesome. Well, I'm going to go
We'll see you.
Yeah,
good luck.
Sure.
Good luck. It's great to be back, isn't it? Fantastic stuff. All right. See what's around the next corner, big man. Take care.
You guys know.
Ah, it's lovely. Lovely stuff. So yes, that was a lucky quill story, folks. And it'll sit here just with us. It's just a bit of fun, really. We give it a bit of a rub. And there were some fantastic people that I think gave it its own Facebook page, and all of you wonderful people that have done that. It's just great fun. you got to have a bit of fun in life, that's for sure. And we certainly do that down here on Safari Live. So if you have just joined us and it's your first drive with us, or you're a regular participant on the biggest safari vehicle on the planet, you can contact us or interact with us on Twitter by hashtag Safari Live, or you can email us at questions@wildearth.tv and get in contact with us there. Two different ways you can do it, and we'll try and answer as many questions as we possibly can. And you know, as I said, I really do mean it. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. We're going to try and find it happening again, but just while we were on with Peter or Scott, we had some impala doing this wonderful high jumping that they do, and Brian and I had a great encounter up there on Impala Plains many moons ago with these impala lambs doing it, and some of the young sub-adults were just doing it then. If we see it again, we'll point it out. It's such a beautiful display to watch. Got a question from Heidi in North Carolina, and the reason I'm butting off here, folks, is just it's nicer to talk to you and look down the barrel of the camera and connect with you wherever you are in the world, rather than just looking all the time ahead. Heidi in North Carolina. Hi Heidi, fantastic to have you on board, and thank you so much for the beautiful welcome that you've given and welcoming us back. Heidi wants to know, I do a fair few safaris in Namibia as well, and wants to know if the concentrations of elephants are greater over there. That's the first half of your question, and the other half was, is it got to do with water availability? Well, there's so many contributing factors to elephant populations, Heidi, across Africa. Habitat loss is an incredibly important one, or corridors that the elephants used to move through. The elephants in Namibia behave slightly differently to other parts of Africa because it is a much more arid, predominantly arid environment. You will find that they do travel greater distances to water sources, and there's a lot of sort of spark or talk about there's a subspecies, the desert elephant. Look, I can't really tell you what the latest research is, but I think that the research that I've read is the elephants in the desert have a very great handover from their a parental handover or a herd philosophy or teaching, that they have to be shown where those water sources are, because they have to rely on them a lot more. In parts of where we are here in Djuma and Sabi Sands, there's a lot more water than there is in Namibia, and you'll find that probably the concentrations here are greater than they are in Namibia. When you do see big herds in Namibia, it's an eye-opener, that's for sure. One of the things you do really notice is really big elephants. We get really big elephants here in South Africa as well, that's for sure. But you see them covered in, particularly in Etosha, where there's a very white sort of clay soil there, and the animals look very light grey. They're quite stunning on the landscape. But yes, the concentrations, I would say, are greater here in South Africa than they are in Namibia. But fantastic question, and thank you very much, Heidi. Welcome back to you, and great to talk to you. We're just going to motor on up here. Sandy Patch, this area is going to be probably teeming in the next couple of months with young impala, which in turn brings a lot of predators. We see it's a great area for, there's a nice smell there. Smell like, not sure what that was, but that was a predator smell. I'm just driving around here and I'm hearing some of those quintessential African bird sounds in the morning. Some squirrels and a few alarm calls just back there. So let's just sit here for a second, folks. Just while we're sitting here and Brian's having a little scan around. Just smell to sort of an odd smell back there. Real sort of, I don't know whether it was feces or just what, but predator-like smell. Anyway, we'll just have a little scan around here. Just got a message. I think it was from James and Mike, and it was about a bird list that we started back in November, and I was sort of suggesting to people to start a bird list. It's a great thing. You know, people who don't know me, I probably should share this with you now. I love my gadgets. I love my sort of tablets and different apps you can get on these, and I use different apps on all these different things, which we'll probably have a talk about later on a bit more. But instead of carrying loads of books, and please don't ever think that I don't love books, but sometimes when you're traveling abroad all the time, you've got a stack of books this high, it can be a bit tricky. So you can get a lot of books that are in electronic forms, e-books, particularly a wonderful couple of different bird guides, and it allows you to create a list. And we started talking about it last November, and you know, I think I probably had about 30 or 40 on it by the time we finished Big Cat Week last December. And I think it's James and Mike have just contacted us and said since then they started that, they've amassed 217 different species through all these wonderful guides and all these wonderful sightings. So hats off to you guys, because birds are incredibly important, just as important as all the other creatures we have here, and you see them a lot. And I have to get my head around some of the species as well again. I do have to level with you. 1 minute or 1 week I can be over in Malaysia, and the next week I'm teaching in England with bird species in England. And as you get older, your memory starts to not be as functional as it used to be. So if I do stop and look at a bird and I can't quite remember the name of the species, please help me, and we'll work through it together. But I do have a bit of a giggle with that sometimes, because it is, you know, I'm working in lots of different countries, and it's just a matter of, it's a bit like a language, and if you don't use it, you lose it, and it's a great thing just to get familiar again. It's the calls as well, and you know, Brent and James and Steph and Scott and Jamie as well. You know, all of the guides that we've got here are so incredible on their knowledge, and I learn from them constantly. It's really great to. So I knew Scott last time, and I knew Steph, and I've just met James. I had a great night out in London with James recently, which was just fantastic. I love this planet, I love this world, and meet each other outside of our different normal space. Yeah.
Well guys, welcome back on the vehicle with us. Hayden's got some exciting things going on there. I believe some squirrels alarm calling. Now that might of course mean an eagle that we don't see, or a snake in the grass, but in Sabi Sands, especially where we are, there's always the possibility of a leopard when anything's alarm calling. They're going to keep looking, signal breaking up a little bit. Maybe just to explain that to some of you, if it's one of your first drives with us, obviously for this to be live and happening as we speak, there's a few things, and I'm greatly understating it by using the word few, sort of a few things that need to happen between the leopard jumping out of the tree or the sun rising and you sharing it with us. So there are some breakups and little signal losses sometimes, but that's all part of the experience. We're on one of the big roads, as you can see, heading, as you can probably see as well, straight into the sun, straight east. We're making our way up towards Buffelshoek Dam, the area that Scott and Brent and Steph and them were in earlier. And also just a good road to check. It is one of the mainer roads, if you want it. It sort of gives access to some of the lodges in the area. And these roads are great for seeing or for looking for tracks. It's nice and sandy. There's some elephant tracks crossing in, some elephant tracks crossing out. So we're just seeing what's around, but essentially making our way up towards Buffelshoek Dam. It It is now almost 6:30 Central African time. The sun's been up for about 45 minutes and getting warmer as we speak. So the water holes, those that still have water in them, great place to check for any activity. It's nice to listen to the radio. I've been listening to the game drives. Many of the guys on the radio are old friends of mine. Ephraim, Texan, who many of you know as well. Aubrey. Lots of people out there enjoying the morning with us. Beautiful green flush. Just look into a bit of backlight from the sun, you can see it beautifully, but even though it hasn't rained that much, keep in mind most trees actually respond to the length of the day. So look at these ones, beautiful green, sort of early spring or early summer flush. Now again, for those of you that know me well, I've never been a guy that learns all the Latin names and all the sort of scientific aspects of things, but the first tree that I ever learned the Latin name of was this tree, which is called a red bush willow. Let me show you. I find Latin names or scientific names interesting, firstly if I can remember them, which is one of the things, but if they explain something quite obvious. Now if you get closer to this VM, I'll try and hold it as still as possible. This is called a red bush willow, or a combretum is the family. Now combretums, we get many different kinds. They all have these winged fruits, which we'll see later in summer. But this specific one, if you look right at the tip of the leaf, let me pick this one as maybe better view. You see right there at the very tip of the leaf, or at the apex of the leaf, it makes a little pointy bit that points up. You see that little right there. Now this is called a combretum, as I said, the family name, Combretum apiculatum, because the apex apiculatum is quite specific. And this means that even though it's not raining yet, there's a lot of new food available, especially to your browsers. So you'll start seeing elephant eating a lot of leaves and twigs, kudu, giraffe, all your animals that eat leaves, your browsers. That's a good sign for them. For the grass, you need rain. So the grazers, things like zebra and buffalo, they will be hoping for more rain, because that affects their food directly. But otherwise, really starting to look like summer around us. Beautiful time of the year. Here's some antelope. For those of you from North America, USA, Canada and so on, you might be familiar with white-tailed deer. These would be sort of the ecological equivalent, if you want, of white-tailed deer in certain parts of Africa. If you go to the more desert areas, you find springbuck, but the sort of more savanna and bushveld like we have here, you get impala, which is one of the most numerous antelope species. Well, not one of, they are by far the most numerous antelope species out there. Medium size, this is a nice big male. We see, where are we now? It's October, so it's a few months ago that it was the rut, so they've passed the rutting season now, so you'll find them in bachelor groups. In good condition. Also, one of the reasons why they are so numerous is they're in that sort of niche where they can utilize various aspects of their surroundings. And what I mean with that is giraffe have to eat leaves. So giraffe would struggle if there's no trees or no leaves, and zebra have to eat grass. So if there's no grass, then zebra would struggle. Impala, they've adapted to be mixed feeders, so they can eat grass, twigs, leaves, anything really, just depending on what's going at the time, what's at the top of the menu for them. So they've adapted greatly to sort of varying circumstances or varying conditions around them. They're also what's generally referred to as a buffer species, pretty much is meaning that because there's so many of them, again, they get preyed on as well by many things. So they're in the size where leopard can hunt them, cheetah, wild dog, lion. So in a way, by being so many, they also take the pressure, if you want, off some of the other species in terms of being prey. Guys, just once again a big thank you. As I said earlier, it's such a great feeling to really feel welcomed back by everyone that's part of this experience. So thank you so much for all the messages coming in. Tara, Nikki and them in control in letting us know there's loads of messages coming in. Lovely elephant. And while we get to the elephant, we're going to be sitting with him for a
So I went into a little bit of a dodgy signal area before there, and I'm just getting to know those. There's always those little gremlins around, folks, where there's places where our signal's not fantastic. But you know what? You've stuck with us for a very, very long time. You know that. This is coming live to you from the back of a Land Rover here in Sabi Sands in South Africa. And you have those little hiccups now and again. That's all part of it. It's live. So I'm just going to head down to Buffelshoek Dam now. I haven't been there for a while, and it's one of the only places that's got a bit of water on at the moment. We might see some elephant, but meanwhile, I think a mate of mine's got some elephant with him as well. I'll see you just now.
Guys, well, some lovely elephant. Looks like two bulls here. We're going to sit with them for a little bit. It's quite thick bush, so we'll see how good the visual is. But just before we broke up there, Lisa and Selby, as I was saying, great to have you guys on the drive. So many of you that have been growing with us over the years in this experience and have really formed a part of the family. And Lisa was just saying, and this illustrated beautifully, that Selby, her daughter, was 9 when they started joining us for the first drives. I remember you guys way back then. And Selby is now studying biology, first year at college. And Lisa was just saying thank you for the influence everyone has had in this experience. She mentioned Leishan's name there as well, and myself, as I said, for years we've known you guys. So it's beautiful to hear that we could have played some small role in someone studying and learning and going into this direction of I was going to say knowing nature, but more just loving nature, being passionate about it. So great to hear that. And Selby, good luck with your studies. Hope to see you down here in Africa at some stage. Oh, brilliant. He's going to come say hello to us. So I've been away for a few months. What is this again?
The big black?
Yes, the big thing with the funny nose.
I'm really sure.
I thought it was Aidan Brody there for a minute. Oh no, it's just kidding. Guys, I love elephant. Really, really. On how many levels do you love elephant? They're just, firstly, just such amazingly intelligent, sensitive, curious, bright animals. And obviously, they're the biggest land animals as well, so they do tend to stand out. But over the years, I've really grown very fond of elephant, and always amazing to spend time with them. It looks like a little herd. I thought it was just 2 bulls when we arrived, but I see a young one walking in the back there. You probably saw it as well. And VM and all the guys have been saying the elephants have been plenty. Now again, just to sort of put it into perspective for you, we are going into our summer, so the opposite, if you want, of the northern hemisphere, where you guys are now going towards your autumn and winter. We are going into summer, which is why we've got this beautiful flush of greenery. But as always, before the big rains come, the driest part really is not so much winter, but the spring, early summer parts before the rains come. So the wartholes become very attractive. And considering we had a drought last year, there's some magic gorry in the foreground there, those sort of crinkle cut leaves. Just move a little bit. So this part, just before the rains come, it's very hot. The wartholes are all dry, or mostly dry. So the wartholes that do have water in them, in this case, Gowrie Waterhole, the pan there close to the camp, Buffelshoek Dam, they become very, very attractive to elephants especially. They need to drink water if possible once a day, twice a day if possible. So we're going to be seeing, touch wood, lots of ellies over the next while. I'm just not sure if we're going to be seeing too much more of these specific elephants, because there's quite a lot of bush here and I don't want to barge in there when they've got youngsters with them. So I don't want to hammer on about it, but that message is now from Lisa regarding Shelby that's now studying biology. That's really cool. Thank you for letting us know that firstly, and yeah, it's just awesome. It really is. How we can share our wonderful world. It's amazing. One of the most amazing predators, also one of the smallest predators out here, and I'm talking in the mammal world. Obviously there's lots of smaller ones in the insect world. I just saw some dwarf mongoose there in the distance. We're just going to see if we can see some more of them. Also there's a bit of a clearing here, so we'll sit here, and if the mongoose are entertaining, we'll watch them for a bit, and hopefully those ellies will come through. Of course, the other really exciting part about this Wild Earth game drive experience, apart from the fact that you're here with us, is that you've got the ability to jump between different places. So if Hayden finds something, or Scott and Brent and Steph and the guys on tracking find something, we'll go there. But for now, look at that little guy just peeking at us right there. See him, Liam? Just there. Where my finger is. Where my finger is. Liam? By my finger's punt. Let me get. So just go to this.
There.
Right,
yeah. Got him. Yeah.
See there?
Yeah.
It's got a little hollow log there to hide in. Guys, to put this into perspective for you, that log is probably about a foot and a half tall, or thick. And the dwarf mongoose, as you might have guessed from the name, is one of the smallest of mongoose species, but they fascinating little animals. They live in very tightly knit groups or units, really working together not only to find food, but to keep an eye out for predators, raising the youngsters. Fantastic little animals, and just obviously right up there with the best of them when it comes to the cute scale. Here's another one coming in. Hey guys, well, as I said, you've got the ability to jump to different places, so there might be something else happening on one of the other places. We'll see what goes on just now. Awesome. Just hearing that Scott's got something there. Now, just coming back to these mongoose very quickly, is they help each other look around. So one mongoose is checking for eagles or snakes while the others run around, and if they find something, they shout. They go, hey, there's something here. And Scott has got some franklins, birds that operate in a similar way, busy calling at the moment. So let's see what they've got, and we'll see you back this side again a bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. And things have been quite exciting here on the bushwalk. We haven't been able to keep on the exact tracks of that mating pair of leopard. It seems like they could well have split up, so they maybe were not mating, they were just possibly spending some time together, but we've left Brent and the tracking team on the tracks of the male. It appears like he went and had a drink at Buffelshoek Waterhole. And we're still in the general area, and we've heard squirrels alarm calling and then Franklin's alarm calling, The francolins may be having a dispute with one another, hard to tell, but the squirrel may have definitely seen a predator. So we just thought we'd call you into this area to see if we can find whatever is causing this unrest in the general area. Sadly, though, as you guys arrived, the francolin has stopped alarm calling. So that's not to say there isn't potentially still a threat here, threat to those francolin. So let's keep creeping ahead and see if we can find anything, but we just thought it would also be useful to give you an update on those leopard tracks. It's an incredibly difficult business following tracks of animals through the bush. I mean, even though we're walking through along a game trail here, it's not easy to see each and individual footprints of these animals as they go through. At least it isn't for myself. It's a lot easier for specialist trackers, of which we have 2 coming to join our team today. And to give you an idea of how difficult it is exactly to see tracks, I've just seen a hyena track here on the ground. So tell me if you can see anything in this area. Not easy, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4 toes in the back pad of a hyena. Not much to see there on these little pathways, but that kind of will give you an idea of how tricky it is. And this is one of the easier game trails that we are following in terms of seeing tracks. It's also easiest at this time of the morning when the sun from a very low angle is casting its lights and creating shadows on the tracks. You may be wondering what this little sock is in my hand, and it's filled with ash. This will give you a good idea of how still the wind is today. Not much of a breeze at all, but if anything, it's blowing very gently into our faces, which is possibly a good thing and possibly a bad thing, depending on the area you're in and the potential animal that you could bump into. Sometimes it can be useful that animals smell you before they see you, and therefore they can expect your arrival. On the other hand, some animals would prefer to not expect your arrival and not know that you're there at all. So it does depend on the individual animal, but useful to definitely know which way the wind is blowing when on foot. We try and keep as quiet and as stealthy as possible. And because we had quite a hasty intro into the bushwalk this morning, I didn't let you know that Jandre is the cameraman on the bushwalk. He's got a big backpack on his back with an antenna sticking up, probably about 4 meters, 3.5 meters off the ground. So he has to negotiate with that. The backpack itself weighs about 20 pounds. And it's not just a 2-man team. We also have Stefan with us, very close behind Jandre. Maybe Jandre can give you a quick squiz of Stefan. And Stefan is here from a safety point of view, and he's an incredibly experienced trails guide. He's got many, many more years on foot than myself, so it's hugely reassuring to have him with us. And you would have noticed he is carrying a rifle. It's just there as a last measure precaution. The chances of using it are extremely slim, but it's very useful to have here just in case. And we've just got a funny comment through from Kachino John saying, if we see any footprints of what looks like a Bigfoot or a Yeti, that would be Brent, so don't be confused. And you're exactly right, Kachino John, he's got monstrous feet. And I'm told that it's actually quite difficult for him to find shoes that fit those feet of his. Myself, on the other hand, is a little bit different. I've got tiny little feet. I doubt you'll be able to hear it, but there are some hyena calling. Possibly somewhere around Buffelshoek Dam. And we're not far from there, so we're going to speed it up, get into that area, and see if we can find you these hyena. And while we do that, we're going to send you back to Peter. It's been great having you on the bushwalk, and wish us luck. Hopefully we'll find you those leopards, either us or Brent, who's out on the tracking team. See you later.
Guys, what a great way to spend time in the bush. On foot has always been a, how shall I put it? It really just wakes up your senses a little bit more. It makes you more in tune with things. It puts you more on the ground, literally, with everything around you. So I'm sure you enjoyed the sort of bit of behind the scenes, if you want, from Scott there as well, just explaining some of the things you carry around with you. Some of the things are as old as the earliest bushman hunters when it comes to gauging wind direction. Some of the things are maybe a little bit newer, like having a live broadcast. But being on foot in the bush is just a very special experience. And as you have in the past and as you will in the future with us, you will have many great moments with being on foot in the bush. Scott and them are following up. Our hyena's calling there a bit. As we said a few times this morning already, this first hour or so of the day, 2 hours of the morning, really is, especially in this time of year when it's really hot, very, very special time to be out here. We've left those mongoose. They were doing their thing. By the way, let's get a few ideas from, not some ideas, some feedback from some of you guys. Remember, you can communicate with us via Twitter, hashtag Safari Live, or just email it to questions@WildEarthTV. But speaking of the mongoose, what's the plural of mongoose? One mongoose, many. We left them behind, and we're heading towards Gari Dam, or shall I say Gari Pond at the moment. I believe we might have something a little bit bigger than mongooses, monkeys, mongai to view there. Let's go have a look. So many people we'd love to say hi to directly, but Molly, Karen, Diana saying they've been watching those elites in the waterhole already a bit. Guys, once again, great to be back with you on the vehicle. And yeah, so I was thinking three things all at once there, but we'll be there in the next few minutes, so hopefully something big on the menu for us to have a look at. So happy to be back. You know, so many people when you get back here obviously welcome you back, which is a great feeling, but also just ask you, how are you doing and what's been happening and how are you, how are you feeling, and travels and all that. I always feel happy when I come back. Djuma really is a home for me in many, many ways. So whenever I'm back here, I'm just happy. Why I'm thinking about that is, this morning we could see no big animals and I'd still be stoked, just to be back here, to smell the low-felt air, to drive in the Jigga, again, this Land Rover that I've spent many, many hours in. So everything we see is just a big bonus. And I think a large part of this, a very large part of this, more than the elephants, more than the leopard, more than the smell and the sound and the sights of sunrise, it's just to be back in the vehicle with all of you. And little monkey darted across the road there. There's so many of the names we've mentioned this morning already. We've spent so many hours together in the bush. So I miss that. I miss having the greatest guest in the world on the vehicle with us. I miss having the best people in the world to share this with. I've spoken about this in the past, and we'll talk about it somewhere in future again, more than once, I'm sure. But it's such a privilege, such a pleasure to be able to take fantastic people on Game Drive. And not just people, but people that you've known for a long time. So I must just say thank you again to all of you. We really make this what it is. We're almost there. Djuma Dam or Gari Dam or Boyatilla Dam. We still use different names for it sometimes, but Djuma Dam, Diana from the UK. Got a few different Dianas on Game Drive at the moment. Hello Diana, just asking some of the history behind Djuma Dam, if I know when it was built. I don't actually. I presume in probably the 80s or 90s, something like that. I'll ask Gary when I see him again. A lot of the waterholes here are quite old, meaning they've been made a long time ago, and they've also settled in nicely as purely natural waterholes, meaning the plant growth and the tree growth around it. At the moment, and for the next few weeks at least, up until it rains again, Diana, the waterhole itself is drying up. We started this morning early. We had a look at it, some of those catfish sort of just wriggling around in the mud. So there's a pond really that's got water being pumped into it. Now this is hugely valuable, not only for us that want to see animals, because obviously it will attract animals, but also for the animals themselves. Elephant, antelope, everything. They would all come here for water. And also because it's nice fresh water. Obviously being pumped, it's nice and clean. The more natural waterholes would be very muddy by now. So you're going to find a lot of game here and a lot of elephant. Elephant love clean water. All animals love clean water, but elephants especially. Let's just see, I believe they're moving away a little bit. Let's see where to and what they're up to. Oh, there we can see them. So yeah, Diana, we're coming up now. I'll show you guys as well, who've maybe just joined us in the last few minutes. There you can see Ellie's in the distance. We'll have a quick stop here at the waterhole first. Then we'll catch up with those elephants. Just have a look here. Now this is the spot where we will see many different animals over the next days and weeks. You can see no wind this morning. The mirror image of the water. And just lots of bird life. Mainly doves and grey lories or go-away birds. A few butterflies. Little drongo just skimming across the water there. Excuse me. But yes, you will see this again, I guarantee you, in the next few days. Let's go and catch up to those Ellies. Way down. Now, over the years, one builds up memories, and certain of them stick around. I'll never forget at this pan when Lishan, who was visiting me the first time then after, it's a long story, but I hadn't seen her in 16 years and she came to visit me. Lishan is now my wife and the mother of our kids, of our son and daughter. But this pan was similar to now, very, very dry. No waterholes at water in except for this. It was great for wildlife. And the vehicles were down. We didn't have a game drive, so we had what we called the Babaloo, old Series 3 Land Rover, and the waterhole camera was running. So we drove out here and the waterhole was live, and I was photographing an elephant lying on my belly in front of an Ellie. Wonky was one of them, two other Ellies around. My SD card was full, so I was taking these pictures of elephants about literally 15 feet away, cleaning the images, taking pictures again. Lishan sitting there thinking, what's going on? Many of you would remember if you were with us already back then. Lisa and Karen and Diana, many of you that were here back then. Long story, but whenever I think of that pond, I often think of that day. And always incredible how the biggest animals on land can just disappear. Seconds ago they were here, they've just walked into the stick stuff. Hello Dave. Let's tell the experience in this vehicle as well. Again, many of you have seen these animals so many times and their behavior. That's really what tracking is about, you know. Tracking has got so many aspects to it. Actually, the physical tracks, the sounds you can hear, the story being put together, but also often just using good common sense. You don't need to grow up in Africa and live in the bush every day of your life to have good common sense, and that's really what you need to be a good tracker. Dave was saying, looks like they're heading up to Mvubu Road. This is the road we are now. Mvubu, just for interstate, means hippo in Shangaan or in Tonga. hippos use this road a lot when the dam has got water in it. And a couple other people also mentioning maybe heading up towards Gallego Dam or Gallego Dam. And most likely is what they are up to. We're going to go around slowly and let's see if we can catch up with them again. I think they're probably going there for the clean water.